So today we have Alwyn Uys on the call. Alwyn Uys is from South Africa. Um, he's going to share his journey of overcoming some of the challenges that he faced and how it's basically shaped his perspective of life. Alwyn, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. It's just extremely hot here where we are right now, but I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay,
Can't
perfect.
complain.
Okay, perfect. So Alwyn, would you like to tell us who you are?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a South African para triathlete. I do the Ironman and short course racing, triathlon, in a wheelchair.
Mhm.
And yeah, before that, I'm an ex-Marty's rugby player that wasn't involved in a car accident and got paralyzed from the chest down. But yeah, now we do triathlon, Ironman events, and also a YouTuber as well.
Okay. Wow. Sounds like you went from being like you said, a rugby player into facing a huge challenge, but then going into Ironmans, but as somebody who's paraplegic. Can you tell us a bit about
Yes.
how initially you reacted to the accident? Your initial reaction.
Yeah, so it's a big blow. It's difficult to put it into words. What goes through your mind when something like that happens and your whole life gets flipped upside down. I don't think you can explain it in words actually what goes through your mind at that stage. But the first thing that comes to mind is that you lose everything physically. You lose everything physically. And in the world that we live in today, that basically is everything. So to me, to lose the ability to walk it's something that really crushes you in life. You can call it that. And together with that, you lose all inhibition and ambition just to live and, achieve your dreams and goals all of a sudden because you're now in a wheelchair.
Yes.
So overcoming that is it's a mental thing. It's a mental challenge. Yes, it is physical, but the biggest battle is in the mind.
Yes. Okay. Obviously, it's difficult.
Right.
It's obviously difficult facing something like that. Firstly, being in an accident, then losing your ability to walk, and especially because you relied on your physical ability so much as an athlete. You said you played rugby for Marty's before. Okay. Can you tell us a bit about your ambitions before being in the accident?
Yeah. So obviously, before the accident, my biggest dream was to play professional rugby and make a career out of that. So at the time of the accident, that everything gets lost. All that just goes down the drain immediately because when you're in a wheelchair, there's no more rugby. Yes, there's other sport, but specifically for rugby, it's completely over. So it's something that happens obviously not by choice, so you lose a lot and it's something that's forced upon you. A disability, especially acquired disability, it's something that happens sudden. It's an accident. It's not a choice. It's usually not a gradual process. So dealing with that, it's like, dealing with death of a loved one.
I can imagine.
It's pretty rough, except it's the death of your old life, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously that is, like you said, it's the death of your old life. It's you completely losing your identity and like your purpose, because you said previously you saw yourself as becoming a professional rugby player, playing for South Africa, and now all your dreams, not only is your dreams ripped away from you, but also your physical ability. Like you said, you lost all of that. How old were you when this happened?
I was 24 years old.
24?
So
okay. Yeah, you're quite
24 years young, actually. So you have your whole life in front of you and something like that happens. And it's also difficult because at that stage you don't always have the emotional intelligence or capacity to deal with those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, it plays a huge role when it happens in your life and how you deal with it.
Okay.
Life kind of forces you to grow up really quick when something like that happens.
Okay. Now tell me, and then, so after the accident, you obviously found yourself in a dark place, and like you said, you were stripped away of everything. But how did you recreate yourself? How did you find yourself doing triathlons and just going back into sport, going from really low into saying,
Yeah,
listen, yeah, I've lost my physical ability, but I can still recreate myself, and I can still be as strong as people, as
yeah.
other people, even though I can't use my legs. You understand? How
Mm,
did
mm. Yeah, well, for me, the biggest thing is obviously religion and faith.
mm-hmm,
Well, and rediscovering yourself and going back to the core to actually asking yourself, so who are you actually,
mm-hmm,
and what are you capable of, and what are your dreams? And you have to refocus and realize that everything that you are and who you are isn't just bound in your physical ability. So if you loved sport, with or without your legs, you still love sport,
mm-hmm.
and that's a very important thing to realize, is that your self-worth is not dependent on your physical ability. Um, so that was a big thing to overcome, is to realize that, look, I'm actually still the same person. I just use a wheelchair now. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say, yeah, I'm in a wheelchair. I just use a wheelchair to get around. So that was a big, speed bump just to get over mentally, to realize
Mm-hmm.
that. And then I can actually started to move on and get on with my life and see what life still has to offer.
Yes.
Um, that's the biggest thought pattern that I had to go through, is not placing my self-worth in physical abilities. Yeah.
Okay. And how did this initially start? You said you find yourself obviously at the place of where you needed to go into religion, into your faith, and be like, you know what,
Mm.
I'm more than just my physical ability. But
Yeah.
how did you reach that point where you said, listen here, was it behind the guidance of a friend, a family member, or did you just decide one day, I'm broken, I need to find my way, I need to discover more? How did you
Yeah.
reach that point?
Yeah, so the beginning for me was obviously, in the beginning, it was a lot about self-worth. So
Mm-hmm,
you don't feel like you're the same person anymore. You're not worth much anymore. And
mm-hmm,
when I say religion and faith, I mean that God showed me that He still loves me just as much, even though I am in a wheelchair. So
mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what shape or form you are in. He still loves you just as much, and
Okay.
that takes all the pressure from yourself. It takes everything away, because then you realize that, look, it's not about failing or achieving something. The outcome is still going to be the same. And for me, it was also like, look, I don't have anything to lose now.
Mm-hmm.
You can go after it, and even if you fail, it's fine. It doesn't matter, because you're already at rock bottom.
Yeah.
So for me, that was a very easy point to start at and start building up. What is a career in sport? That is far easier than where you are now, where you already established as an athlete and you
Mm-hmm.
do races and stuff. There's a lot more pressure now on yourself, but it's actually a perceived pressure, because now you have your ego playing a role again,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and you have this pride playing a role again. Whereas at that moment, there was no pride, there was no ego involved, because you're already at rock bottom.
Yeah.
And that's actually an amazing place to be at, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because I can see the difference now. Now it's more, you're a lot more cautious, because you don't want to fail. And
Okay.
at that point, it was, look, you can't fail. There's no failing, because you can't go any lower
Yeah.
than this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. It's a beautiful perspective you took there, and
Mm.
I like the fact that you say that. You know what? I was at rock bottom. I've been stripped of my identity, my ego. So
Yeah.
now I'm basically naked. I need to recreate myself. I need to clothe myself again and become the person.
Yeah.
And then you basically decide, listen here, this is my passion. It's always been my passion. I'm just going to go after it. I can't lose anything.
Mm.
And I love that, because so many of us,
Yeah.
like you say, are scared of trying something new, are scared of setting that stretch goal and going after something big or that scares us,
Absolutely.
because we fear failing, we fear falling or losing our identity. But
Yeah.
sometimes we need to be stripped of the perceived person we are, the perception of who we think we are, so we can actually recreate the
Yeah.
person we want to become. So amazing.
Yeah, and the truth is, as you say, you have a fear of losing what you already have. It's actually ridiculous because you're not that special. You're not that important.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can lose it. It's fine.
Hmm.
We all actually don't have much.
Exactly.
So you can risk it. If I wish I could just tell everyone, you can risk it. You can go for it because um, people would admire more the courage that you even try to go after
Hmm.
something than just doing nothing. But a lot of people, they feel safe in their comfort zone and they
Hmm.
just feel safe for where they are. So they'd rather just not try anything and they just keep on dreaming or keep on speaking about it
Yeah.
and not even just going for it. And the whole thing of overnight success is a facade. It
Hmm.
doesn't exist. Everyone has to go through a process of failure and
Hmm.
growing and learning, and you're only going to do that by starting, by risking something.
Exactly.
If it's not worth risking anything, then it was never actually worth it.
Hmm.
Then it doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah. And like you say, that it doesn't really matter what you have right now or who you think you are.
Yeah,
um it's going after what you really want and actually becoming the person you want. And like you said, also the fact that, you know s- there's no such thing as overnight success. And that's also one of the reasons I made this, so that people can understand that everybody faces challenges, and that we can't live our life in our comfort zone, because life is lived with outside of that. We actually, when we start pushing the boundaries and actually start trying new things and failing and falling, that's when we discover how much more we can go, how much further we have, and how much more we can grow and become. So
mm,
amazing. I really love your story. I really love the fact that you back on it and you're saying, listen, nothing's going to stop me. And you're
yeah,
still going after your passion. You're living life passionately, more than
yep,
many other people. There's many other people out there who's confined to their safe zone because they are scared of something, a perceived threat.
yeah,
And then
absolutely.
tell me about your first triathlon. How did you actually get into that? Um, and also swimming, becoming a swimmer, as and be not able to use your body from
Yeah.
the waist down. How did you manage that?
Yeah, so swimming is till today, it's the biggest challenge,
Hmm.
to be honest. Swimming is a very unique sport. It's a very technical sport. So it's something you constantly have to work on. It's still today the biggest challenge of the three. Also because I was never a swimmer before my accident. So I had to learn to swim from scratch. And currently how I do it is I wear a full wetsuit and I
Hmm.
tie my legs together
Okay.
so they don't go all over the place. Um, and yeah, swimming, it takes a lot more effort for me to actually, I wouldn't say stay afloat, but to propel yourself through the water.
Hmm.
And my first triathlon, so I was into cycling for a few years, hand cycling.
Okay.
And then I started thinking about doing the Ironman. And then I just started working towards this goal where the whole concept of you don't have much to lose. So I
Hmm.
also, I still had that train of
Yeah.
thought in my mind, but also the idea of how fragile your life is, and you must do the things that you want to do,
Hmm.
because you only have a limited time on Earth,
Yeah.
and that kind of inspired me that look, if I want to do this, I have to do it now, and I just started training for it, and I'm really committed to that goal. My first full triathlon, was actually a half Ironman.
Okay.
So before that, I obviously trained each discipline on its own. But the first, yeah, triathlon three discipline was the half Ironman in
Okay.
Durban.
Okay.
And yeah, the preparation was amazing for it. So it was a good race. It's a very, it's a very new and challenging sport. So, especially after you've swam 2 kilometers in the ocean,
Hmm.
then getting on a bike, doing everything with your arms.
Yeah.
Um,
I can imagine stuff.
yeah, you must just keep your head, level. And focus on the task at hand and not focus too much on what's to come, especially in a long race. Just focus on the now, focus on the next pedal, and don't think of what I must do in an hour or 2 hours, or oh, the race is still 4 hours long. Just focus on what you must do right now. Focus on the now, and I'm pretty sure you'll be fine.
That's actually something that you can use as an analogy for life as well. Like, sometimes just sit out, have a plan, and just focus on the now. Just doing it right now, taking that step right now, and taking the next step. Even if you're not sure what the third or fourth step holds, just keep going, and keep fighting. Because basically every day is a fight. And I'm sure you as an athlete, you understand that having that mental stamina, the ability to keep fighting every single day, you apply that same concept from the fitness into life. And obviously now being a paraplegic, you obviously apply it as well, even more. And you always need to keep fighting. It doesn't matter what's down the road in a year or 10 years from now. You just keep going, headed, as long as you're in alignment with where you want to be. Just keep going, keep going. And then tell me a bit about, how it felt after accomplishing your first triathlon. How you grew from that.
Yeah, look, the process was definitely long, and the training, it took a lot out of me getting into it, and especially because there's no one in South Africa that does what I do in a wheelchair. So it's a difficult process, gathering all the information and doing it, and the sense of accomplishment it's amazing when you finish that, because it's months of hard work and everything just comes down to one day. When you're in a wheelchair, there's a lot of technical stuff that can go wrong as well. You've got a lot more equipment, like a hand cycle and a racing chair, and with the swimming, and it's a lot more technical than the normal person. So it's also very stressful. But when everything comes off, and you're finished on that day, and all the months of hard work and planning, everything comes together, it's a euphoria that you just can't explain. It's unbelievably, satisfying. And also, if you think of it as an emotional component, when you get injured, people tell you, what you can do and what you can't do, and what your limitations are, and what your expectancy is of your life. And after that Ironman, it's, all that just falls away, because you've done something that no one thought is ever possible. So it's an amazing feeling. It's incredible. I can't compare it to anything, because there's nothing that I've ever experienced before.
Okay. And I like the fact, because that whenever we're facing that challenges, like you say, that setting that stretch goal, when you're actually going after it, you're growing in the process. And because you follow through on your commitment to say, listen, I'm going to do this triathlon, and at the end of the Ironman, like you say, you felt a sense of accomplishment. No one else in South Africa is doing what you're doing. Maybe previously you doubted your ability, but now you know that these able-bodied people around me, and I'm in the same game as them. So that makes you even stronger. You need to have an even stronger mind to do what they are doing. So amazing feat. That's definitely something that I'm aspiring to do as well. One of my goals, to do a triathlon, Ironman. So you inspired me. You inspired me. Okay. And then tell me, there are obviously days where you feel down. You wake up thinking like, is this my life? Tell me, how do you deal or handle those days?
I wouldn't say it's a feeling of you wake up and say, this is my life, but you do wake up where you think it's hard work.
Okay.
And it is never ending. You must wake up every day committed and work towards this goal. And those days do come, they do happen. And I think it's a very important time where you go through moments where you ask yourself, okay, why am I doing what I do? And you're going to really have to dig deep and think long and hard about that. Why am I doing what I'm doing? A mate and I, he's also doing Ironman, and we had the same feeling, last week, where we told each other, and that's very typical in Ironman, because you train so hard, you put a lot of work in, and one day it just hits you So why am I actually doing this? This is tough, you know? And you're a bit hurtful sometimes because you don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to get on that bike. You don't want to go swimming. But you need to keep the main focus where you're going to have to know why you're doing what you're doing. And for everyone, that is going to be different. So the advice that I would definitely give is understand why you're doing something. Don't just do it. Don't just do it for the accomplishment or the bucket list, because one day you're going to wake up and that's not going to be enough to get you out of bed. You're going to need a very strong reason why you're doing this, and you're going to have to understand that reason really well. And that's with anything in life. Otherwise, you're not going to stay motivated. You're not going to do quality work. It's not going to work out for you. You know, if you look at great people throughout history and what they do, or great sports people, they are in love with what they do. It's their passion. And that is the only recipe for I would say long-lasting success. You can pull yourself through 1 or 2 Ironman races, you know, with a little bit of motivation, and you're doing it for the medal or the status, or just to be able to say that, look, I'm an Ironman. But that is only going to last that long. You're going to have to really dig deep and understand and know yourself. Why are you doing certain things? And I can't help you with that. I can't tell you why you're doing things. I can't give you ideas. Everyone's going to have to find that for themselves.
Okay. And now, based on that, the fact that you say that the why is very important. Our why, like you said, in everything we do, we need to understand our reasoning behind it, because there are going to be those days where we don't feel like following through. We lack motivation. Tell us a bit about the process, how you discovered your why.
I think that's the reason why I got into Ironman stuff, is just because it's a difficult question. It's not an overnight decision that you make. Why do you do certain things? My why is definitely when I got injured, there's this preconceived you know, how do you say it, like a stigma around being disabled, and what you can do and what you can't do. And to me, that just, I couldn't live with that, being told that, look, you can do this and you can't do this. So, and that is it. So for me, my why was definitely, I can do whatever I want to do. And, you know, and also, you know, God pushes us to dream bigger and think bigger, because if we have a dream or a goal, his purpose for our life is always bigger. You cannot dream that big. It's not in your mental capacity to dream that big. So that's when it started for me. I started thinking of the most ridiculous stuff physically that I can do, and the Ironman was one of them. So it's kind of like, I don't just do it for myself. I do it for other disabled people in the same situation that I am, because I know the mental state that they are in and were in and going through. And doing the Ironman, being like a trailblazer, doing the Ironman, the first one to do it in South Africa, it means a lot to me to help those people that, you know, that are stuck in that mindset. Because I was there as well. So I understand the pain that they're actually going through, and this is just fighting back.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that that's your mission, to basically break down the stigma attached to being disabled, to showing people, but not only breaking down the stigma, but also showing those who are going through these types of disabilities or difficult times that, you know, it is possible. We can dream big. We can still do certain things that other people are saying we can't, and maybe we should just get out and keep fighting. So I love that. Okay. And how many triathlons have you completed, or Ironmans up until this point?
Two half Ironman races and a few sprint distances at this stage. Obviously many cycle races and many swimming stuff and a few running races. But triathlons in South Africa, those triathlons that are accessible for wheelchair athletes are quite few and far apart. So I only do a few of them a year. I don't do that many, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
And also the cost of them, competing is quite expensive. So we pick our races, very, very delicately.
Okay. So tell me a bit about the team you have around you, people you have around you who you feed off, because ultimately we are the average of the 5 people around us. And if you want to be sharp mentally, if you want to be sharp physically, you need to have people who you can feed off, people who motivates you. So tell me a bit about the team, how type of team you've put together.
Yeah, so there's obviously a few components to it. I deal with, a big coaching staff concerning the training component of everything. And they themselves are very good athletes, so I can learn a lot from them, and they have high standards. Then obviously my friends, which help me a lot with training and that kind of stuff, because I do need help with a lot of things. So, loading up bikes and for events, and they help me in the transfer zones. This is at the events themselves. So the support structure from my friends is massive. It's unbelievable. And without them, it wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And then obviously the support of my family is also amazing. So I would say friends and family is definitely, something that's very important to me. I also train with some very good athletes, and that is also very good because I train with able-bodied athletes, and they always push you harder because I need to keep up with them. So for me, I really like that. I like being the medium or the slowest one in the group. I don't want to be the fastest one. Then I need to change my group.
Yes, exactly.
Then I need some faster people. So, and that principle you can take through everything in your life. If you are the smartest person in the room, you need to get in a bigger room, or so that's also the way that I think. And I like the quote that you gave. You are the average of the 5 people or closest people around you. So I always keep that in mind as well. Associate yourself with people that are ambitious and that go for life, and that's something that's very important. Surround yourself with the right people.
And tell me, what would be your top 3 tips for people who are feeling stuck right now, who don't know what direction to take or what to do with their life, or maybe just lack passion?
Well, that's an easy one, is just get out of your comfort zone. You need to test yourself. You need to do something that scares you. And if there's always opportunities around us, and I think a lot of us just shy away from them because they scare you a bit, and it's out of your comfort zone. Those are the ones that you must chase. You must always go for them. Do the things that scare you. Do the things that put you out of your comfort zone, and you'll surprise yourself what you can do, or how much you will change after you've challenged yourself. You need to challenge yourself. So if you feel stuck, then it's typically that of, you're stuck in a comfort zone. Challenge yourself, change things up when it comes to training or diet or personal life or friends. I believe in change. I love change. The past time I went through a few months, and I'm probably still busy with it, I went through a big period of change where everything around me changed, from the way that I earn my money, from my career, everything, the way that I do things. And I can honestly say that you must embrace the change, because that's where the magic happens. So,
change is part of life. Change happens all around us, and that's also one thing that's actually very frightening, is that most people are afraid of change. And humans are one of the ultimate adaptive machines. We adapt. That's why we're still surviving. That's why we're still here. But the thing is that most people are just surviving. They're not thriving because they're not allowing themselves to adapt and run with it and see what they can do. And like you mentioned about change, and in situations where you are going out of your comfort zone, you're trying something new, there are going to be times where obviously you're going to be facing failure or facing rejection, or things are not always going to work out your way. But that doesn't mean you have to stop there. That is just you learning more about yourself and growing. And if you pass hard enough net, eventually you're going to catch up fish, and that's the most important part. So
absolutely. You just need to keep on pushing.
Keep on pushing. Okay, Alwyn, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
What an inspiring guy. Really inspiring. Can you tell me? Can you tell us where can we find you online?
Yeah, sure. So the biggest platforms that we use is Instagram and YouTube. We love using YouTube. The past few months, we really spend a lot of effort in growing that, and I believe that is the future platform also, for content, for inspiring people, and getting information. So we really make a big effort to stay relevant on YouTube and post every second week a video. We really want to bump that up.
Okay.
But at this stage, every second week we do videos. So you can find me there. It's just Alwyn Uys. You can search it on Instagram and on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Once again, thanks so much for your time, and it was amazing chatting with you. Thanks so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Carl.
Thanks.